Hey there, surf rats. Today we're going to get crafty. We're going to fix a leg rope. Why would we want to do that? Well, it's probably going to be quicker than going down to the shop and getting another one. Maybe you're overseas and it's not easy to get a new leg rope. Maybe you just don't see the point, you know, if everything else is working well, then why would we need to replace a whole leg rope? Beyond that, with the state of our oceans, shouldn't we really be setting an example in terms of our use of this kind of stuff? So, you know, leg ropes are mostly plastic, and a lot of people, once they break, they'll just throw it away and never use it again. So it's one of those things that if we can squeeze a bit more life out of it, I think that's a good thing, and that's what we're going to do. What usually happens is it's going to break here or here, okay? So usually it's close to either end, and this is probably because it's getting put under a lot of pressure all the time. This is getting twisted and bent, so it's going to break somewhere around here. You're not going to need much. We just need some good quality rope. Once you do it a few times, you'll get the hang of it, and it's going to be a repair that really lasts. So let's get into it.
I was down Mexico ways, and an old man, gringo man down there, fixed up my leg rope for me. And it took me a while to figure out exactly what the knot was, but the knot we're going to make today is called a double sheet bend. It's also known as the double Becker bend. It's a really strong, reliable knot, and I'm going to put a link in the description of a video from a guy who really simplifies this. It's a bit of a knot expert, and he explains this knot really, really simply. So typically your leg rope is going to break somewhere around here, and most leg ropes these days have these interchangeable parts. So you can just get an Allen key, undo the screw, and then pull out the swivel from inside. And you'll be left with a swivel on one end and a broken cord on the other. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to find some heat shrink tube. You can find this at probably an electrical store, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut off a few inches of that, and we're going to slip that over the broken cord part of the leg rope. Now that's going to come in handy a bit later. And this isn't essential, but this is going to tidy up our work and probably make things last a little bit longer. So once we have that, we want to bend over the leg rope really nice and tight, get a lighter and heat it up a little bit. You really don't want to heat this up too much. Shouldn't be any smoke, no bubbling. This is a part where you could kind of damage your leg rope. You just want to heat it up enough to put a bit of a kink in it. That's just going to make it a lot easier to work with. This is my rope. We're going to want 3 shucker lengths of this rope, and you don't want to skimp on this either. Get some good quality rope. I like to cut the ends off on a bit of an angle just to make things easier to thread through. And then I'm going to thread this rope through the swivel of the cuff that we're working with. Then we're going to get our leg rope, and we're going to have the open end facing away from us. We're going to thread that up through the loop, pull all of that slack all the way through, come around the back, and then up through the loop that we've just made. Now that is the sheet bend, the single sheet bend. So there's one loop. That's a pretty strong knot, but we want something that's really tough and sturdy, so we can make it into a double sheet bend. So just loosen off that loop, and we're going to bring that slack around the back again. It's going to come onto the right hand side of the first bend that we made and come back up through the loop again. Now the key thing here is to put the rope on top of itself. We want to use that grippy rope to keep the knot nice and strong. A leg rope is really slippery, so we don't want things to slip around. So use the knot, use the rope, try and get that second loop on top of the first loop. Now to tighten it up, you can see I'm pulling from the bottom. I'm not pulling the 2 slack ends of the rope. I'm pulling the loop from the bottom to tighten that first bend that we make. You won't be able to tighten this up properly if you just pull on the loose ends. So the first step is to pull and tighten up the first part of the knot, get that really nice and seated, and then start to pull on the loose ends and tighten up the whole knot. Now the thing I didn't get right here is that distance is too big. So I want to start again. So I'm loosening things up again, and I'm pulling through that slack, making that distance in between the swivel and the leg rope much shorter. That to me is looking much better, so I'm pretty happy with that. Once you think you've got it tightened up, tighten that sucker up some more. I'm pulling on each of the ends, pulling on the leg rope, pulling on the cuff. So I like to stand on the leg rope. Now we're locking it in. You won't be able to undo this once you get to the stage. So you can see I'm really yanking on everything, and then you'll be left with this rock solid knot. And that ain't going anywhere. We're going to tidy that up now, cut off the excess, and then we're going to get our heat shrink tube and pull that over our knot. Something that's happening here is I'm pulling my heat shrink tube right up onto the cuff. You can see that. And what I'm trying to do with this is I'm trying to copy this hard molded part that we find in most leg ropes today. This is the part that keeps your leg rope away from your feet. This is a previous one that I've fixed, and this is the end that's close to the board. So I'm not worrying about that. Just got a heat gun there. You might be able to use a lighter, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. Maybe a hairdryer. Just blasting it with some good heat, and everything's going to tighten down onto that knot. And that's our repair. The only thing I would say about this is keep an eye, if you can, on your rope. It's unlikely this is going to fail at the knot, but you might start to see your rope start to wear down and fray in that swivel. If you see it wearing down, you might want to cut a new piece of rope and tie the knot again. So it's a pretty quick and easy repair, and this is going to last for a long time. That knot is not going to budge, it's not going to loosen, and we've got a new leg rope now. Easy as that.